If you're like me, you like zombie movies. They are at the intersection of popular culture and horror, making us question our humanity and what lengths we'd be willing to go through to survive the infection. Many zombie movies have been released over the decades, probably totaling into the thousands. Some are smash-worthy, others are pass-worthy. Today, let's take a look at some zombie flicks that are must-watch. Cockneys vs. Zombies 2012. This British zombie action comedy flick was released in 2012 and focuses on a group of Cockneys as they attempt a bank robbery and try to rescue their grandfather from a retirement home as the zombie apocalypse takes hold in the East End of London. If you were wondering, the term Cockney refers to a native of East London, typically referring to their accent and being of the working class. Today's first movie starts with a construction crew breaking ground when they discover a 17th century catacomb, sealed by orders of Charles II. Two crew members unfortunately enter searching for treasure and are bitten by zombies trapped in this tomb for hundreds of years, spreading the outbreak. Next, we meet brothers Terry and Andy Maguire, their cousin Katie, as well as Davy and a character named Mental Mickey, an unstable Iraq war vet who has a metal plate in his forehead. The group amass weapons and head to the local bank to rob it with intentions of saving their grandfather's retirement home from being demolished. Expecting a few $100,000, they are surprised to walk in on an embezzlement deal and are now staring at £2.5 million in cash. Mickey takes bank workers Emma and Clive hostage and plans to make an escape, only to realize the horrors outside the bank as a zombie horde begins to form. Soon they make it to their van with all the loot. Next, we see the brothers' grandfather Ray and his buddies at the retirement home. Most of these retirees are former gangsters and know how to handle themselves. Now the zombies work on getting into the home and attacking the residents. As the group head to the safe house to stash the stolen cash, they drive through the devastated East End, listening to radio reports of the epidemic that is now spreading throughout London. Mickey is bitten by a zombie. In the next scene, we see Mickey succumb to the bite and turn. The group has a hard time putting him down as they try for a headshot, but the metal plate in his head stops the bullets. Finally, a grenade takes care of Mickey. We also lose Clive as he is overtaken by zombies and in turn shoots Davy by accident, killing him too. As the group makes a break for it, they stop to find Emma's sister. Unfortunately, she has been turned and Emma decides against killing her in case a cure can be found. After this scene, the group makes it to the retirement home. The van they have won't fit the survivors, so a double-decker bus is hot-wired. The bus can only get them so far as it breaks down before it can get the group to safety near the river. They decide the best move is to find a boat. Action ensues as the group find their way onto the boat. This movie ends as they float down the river wondering what will happen, when Ray says they can take back East London for themselves. All in all, this is a great watch. The zombie action is great and the comedy lightens the mood. Many of you have probably seen this one, but for those who haven't, it's definitely worth your time. Shawn of the Dead, 2004. No zombie movie list is complete without the 2004 British zombie comedy classic Shawn of the Dead. Starring Simon Pegg as Shawn, his best mate Ed, played by Nick Frost, and his girlfriend Liz, played by Kate Ashfield. Our movie starts with the lovable loser Shawn having a bad day. As an electronics salesman, he is disrespected by his colleagues, he doesn't get along with his stepfather, and his girlfriend Liz has just dumped him. He heads to his favorite pub, the Winchester, and gets drunk with his slacker best friend Ed. Once at home, the two's roommate Pete complains about being bitten by a mugger and berates Shawn, telling him to get his life together. The next day, London is overwhelmed by a zombie apocalypse. Shawn and Ed are oblivious to this until finding two zombies in their garden that they dispatch using household implements and Shawn's record collection. They decide to save Shawn's mom Barbara and Liz and hide out in the Winchester until things settle down. They also pick up Shawn's stepfather Philip and Liz's flatmates David and Diane. Ed deliberately crashes the car they have so he can drive Philip's Jaguar Series 3. During all this, Philip has been bitten and he and Shawn come to an amends before Philip turns into a zombie. Comedy ensues as the group makes it on foot and runs into another group doing the same thing, However, this group is literally the doppelgangers of Shawn's group. Finally, they make it to the Winchester. The group all begin to argue, and Barbara is bitten and turns, forcing her own son Shawn to put her out of her misery. Soon the horde breaks into the pub, and we are down to Shawn, Liz, and Ed taking cover behind the bar. Shawn lights the bar on fire to act as a barrier between them and the zombies. Unused shotgun shells lying on the bar explode, killing several zombies. After making their way to the cellar, Shawn and Liz escape as Ed fights off the remaining zombies. Next, the army shows up and mows down the zombies, taking Shawn and Liz to safety. 6 months later, civilization has returned to normal, but with the added bonus that surviving zombies are used for free labor and entertainment. Liz moves back in with Shawn, who keeps the now zombified Ed chained up in his garden shed, revealing to the audience that Ed is still somewhat sentient as he and Shawn play video games together in the shed. 20 years since its release, Shaun of the Dead has become a groundbreaking cult classic, a very well put together zombie movie that also comes with plenty of laughs. House of the Dead, 2003. Okay, zombie fans, this one might be a little less known and it was universally panned by critics, but hey, I like it and I think you might too. This movie is based on the House of the Dead video games. Director Uwe Boll said it was more of a prequel than an adaptation. If any of you out there played this game in the arcade, you'll remember how badass it was. I won't get into the cast too much. For the most part, the actors are not well known. The movie starts off the coast of Seattle on Isla del Muerte, that's right, the Island of Death, as a rave is taking place. 5 friends pay boat captain Victor and his first mate Salish to ferry them to the island. At first, they want nothing to do with the island, but money talks, and they end up taking them there. Once on the island, the 5 find the party to be over. However, music is still playing, drinks are lying everywhere, along with tents and trash. It seems as though whatever happened to the partygoers happened very recently, but there is no trace of anyone. Our first victim of the night is Cynthia. Alone in a tent, a group of zombies attack and turn her into a meal. Soon, some of the friends find an old rundown house. As they investigate, they finally find 2 ravers who tell them the party was overrun by zombies. Next to go is poor Salish, as the zombies find him too. Then we get to find out the disturbing history behind the island. Isla del Muerte was home to Castillo Sermano, a Spanish priest who was banished from Spain in the 15th century for his ungodly experiments, forbidden by the Catholic Church. Sermano murdered the crew of the Cristobal, the ship that was taking him to the island, enslaved the natives of the island, and murdered anyone who stepped foot on the island. While experimenting, Sermano created an immortality serum which he injected himself with, allowing him to live forever and return dead souls to life who would follow his commands. The friends all stock up on weapons previously hidden on the island, and the next scenes are pretty cool. This is where the movie shadows the games, and it has some of the first really good first-person shooter point of views I can remember seeing. For me, as a younger viewer at the time, it just ingrained the action in my mind, and maybe that's why I like this movie so much. Next, we lose a couple characters, and the remaining lot make their way into the house for shelter. Soon, the captain hears his first mate outside. Realizing he's been zombified, he sacrifices himself with dynamite, taking out Salish and a group of zombies, but also blasting a hole into the house. The remaining 4 find the doctor's laboratory within the house and lock themselves in. Eventually, an escape hatch is found, but more friends die trying to find their way out. Now we are down to Alicia and Rudy, who are guided by a mysterious masked man who ends up being the mad Dr. Sermano. He orders a horde of zombies to restrain them for experimentation, but they escape, blowing up the underground tunnels. As the movie comes to an end, there is a sword fight that finds Alicia stabbed through the heart, then Sermano is decapitated. His corpse still fights on until Alicia crushed its head. Soon the 2 are rescued, and as they head back to Seattle, it is revealed Rudy gave Alicia the immortality serum to save her life after being stabbed in the heart. This movie doesn't take itself too seriously and has a lot of good action. It actually has a plot that it follows, and as far as the early 2000s go, this offering is worth a watch. Let me know if you've seen this one or not and what your opinions of it are. Open Grave, 2013. Imagine waking up in a large pit full of dead bodies with no memories on how or why you were there. As unsettling as that is, it is exactly how this movie opens. A man awakes and finds a mute woman who helps him escape, and he follows her to a house with a German man and 3 Americans. No one remembers their identity, and only the mute woman seems to know what is going on, but she cannot communicate with the others. Clues start to emerge about their identity. They find they have knowledge about using weapons and soon find ID cards for some of the group. A calendar hints that something is going to happen on the 18th, 2 days away. While exploring their surroundings, they find corpses chained to trees. Suspicion is directed towards group member John, the name given to the man in the pit, as a picture is found showing everyone in the group except him. A child is found who tells John his real name is Jonah. The child is clearly terrified of him. While finding a man trapped in barbed wire, he kills group member Michael, and Jonah kills the barbed wire man. Jonah starts to relive flashbacks of how he got to this place but still can't piece it all together. Group member Lucas finds a videotape showing Jonah conducting medical experiments on him and others, saying he is working on a vaccine that causes temporary amnesia and a death-like state. Lucas knocks out Jonah and throws him back into the pit. Jonah escapes again and finds documents proving that he knew the other group members previously. It comes to light that Jonah is Dr. Jonah Cook, and he has been working on a vaccine to cure a plague that turns people into zombies. The other group members were assisting him. Jonah was bit while throwing a body into the pit. He managed to use the vaccine on himself and fell into the pit, awakening with amnesia. This movie is tense, and the characters, strife with paranoia, try to put the pieces together in time before the whole ordeal repeats itself. We learn the mute woman is the key to everything, as she has a natural immunity to the virus that has wiped out most of the world's population. Now that the 18th is upon us, it is revealed a military rescue team is approaching, wiping out the infected around the house. They are now in search and destroy mode and are killing anyone they come in contact with. Realizing his best chance for survival is to fake his death, Jonah once again takes the vaccine and goes back into the pit. Soon he awakes and the mute woman is there to help him again. This movie is a head trip. Will Jonah and the woman be stuck in a never-ending loop trying to save the world, or will Jonah's memories come back soon enough for him to get the vaccine to the military and save the world? This one is really unique and one of those movies where the zombies are more of a side note, as the plot really focuses on this strange story of amnesia and then remembering stuck on repeat. I hope you liked today's video. This one isn't a ranking video or even a deep dive, just an overview of some must-watch zombie movies. I love horror movies, and the zombie genre is one of my favorites. Let me know in the comments if you agree with these movies being must-watch. Also, which are your favorites? Which zombie movies would you like to see a video on? Until next time, hit that subscribe button and check out my other content.